Well, today my title of my message is 1,000 Wishes. And, you know, we have the opportunity to make wishes all throughout our lives. We can make wishes when we blow out our birthday cake candles, right? And we can wish upon a star, and we know there's a multitude of stars to wish upon every night. We can go outside and just see the plethora of stars out there and make wishes. And you might not know this one, but if you get an eyelash on your face and you gently take it off and blow it, you can make a wish. That might be a new one. And of course, I was going to put dandelions up there too, because I know when we were a kid, we always used to blow them. Huh?
Cheers.
When you do cheers, yes. All these opportunities to make wishes. And of course, we know that when we make these wishes, that they are absolutely going to come true, don't we? Yes, we just know it in our hearts and minds. We just make that wish with so much dedication. But before we explore any more about wishes, let us first affirm our statements of truth together, please. I am a child of God. I am deserving of good in my life. I am accepting my good now. Thank you. I actually got the title of my message from a Bath and Body Works hand soap, which is in the ladies' room right now, if you can imagine. But, you know, sometimes you pick up something and it just brings you a message. And I love the fragrance, too. But when I read the bottle, and I said, it's called 1,000 Wishes. And when I read the bottle, I thought, what would 1,000 wishes look like? Now, that's 1,000 origami cranes. And if you know anything about that, supposedly if one person makes 1,000 paper cranes, that your whole life will be transformed. And I know at one point, I think Jesse was like 7th grade or something, wasn't he? And he started making origami cranes. And he started out making the big ones, you know. And then he started making them smaller and smaller. Pretty soon he was making these little bitty cranes because he thought he'd never get to 1,000, which I don't think he ever did. I think he got to 700 and something. But we had paper cranes all over the house, and anytime he found a piece of scrap paper, he was making the crane, you know. But it's amazing how we get our thoughts and our minds aligned with this idea of wishes. And really, what would that look like? What would 1,000 wishes look like? You know, I got overwhelmed because I thought, gosh, could I honestly come up with 1,000 wishes? And, you know, first thing you think of is, oh, yeah, sure I can. Because, you know, I could wish for 50 pairs of shoes and 50 pairs of pants and 50 shirts and 50 dresses. I mean, that's 200 things right there, you know, and I'm almost there. But when I was thinking about 1,000 wishes, I wasn't thinking about material things. I was thinking about something deeper, something more than just what we have as far as, you know, materiality. And so, you know, you think that you might be able to easily come up with 1,000 wishes. Does everybody get their piece of paper from Angelique? Somebody hold that up. Because that piece of paper has 100 spaces on it. So now you have to take 10 times that piece of paper in order to come up with 1,000. You might be able to fill up that 100 pretty easy, but 10 times that? I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. And it could be a challenge. And before you take that challenge, pray first, you know, and then think about what wishes you'd write down. But we're going to discover a little bit more to do with that paper here as we go forward. But I think before we even take on the challenge, we have to define what we would wish for and why, you know, because we could just write down a bunch of things like I was talking about, material things, but that's not where we're going. And first, I want to reiterate that the idea of the abundance of God is far beyond 1,000 wishes. You know, we limit ourselves with something like that and we think that we can't write 1,000 wishes, and yet in the abundance of all there is far more than 1,000 wishes for each and every one of us. And I think as the human aspect of ourselves, we tend to think, oh, you know, I might not, I mean, I used to do this. I know, and a lot of people still do. But, you know, I used to think, oh, I'm not going to wish for that because I might be using up something good. You know, I only have so many times of getting these good things, so I'm going to hold on to it and save it for something bigger and better, you know. You ever do that? You think, I can't get that right now because, yeah, there's something else out there. And that is not living in the abundance of all there is. And that is limiting ourselves to what we can wish for and what we can hope for. Because if we are in the realm of unlimited abundance, then we know that everything that we desire that our soul really longs for can come forth. And probably one of the hardest things for us to think about is the idea that the good is coming forth in our relationship with God. You know, and we strive for that. I think our hearts long for that. Our souls long for that relationship with God. And yet we can't define for ourselves what that might look like. And I think that's where our wishes have to begin. We have to look at what that could look like. And once we absorb the idea that there is an abundance of all there is, that we are not limited by 1,000 wishes, 10,000 wishes, 100,000 wishes, or whatever, that we live in this abundant universe, then we can begin to look at truth. And what truth we believe in our lives, because that's what's important. You know, the whole idea could be around clarity. Clarity about our thoughts and actions. You know, they're not always congruent. They're not always lined up in continuity. Sometimes our thoughts are thinking one thing and our actions are saying something else. And then we wonder why we don't have clarity in our lives of what is ours to do. And we fall into that. We can fall into that every day. We can fall into it on a daily basis. Sometimes we're thinking one thing and we're doing something else or saying something else. I know I've been caught up in that before. I have a friend who, and when this happens, it just clouds up my spiritual direction, and I don't like it. But I have this friend that likes to talk about everybody, you know, and talk about everybody from seminary, believe it or not. And so, you know, when I talk to her on the phone, I love to talk to her because she's a good friend of mine, but it's like the minute she starts going down that road, I tell myself, I'm not going to go there with her. I'm not, you know, and you can see stuff on Facebook, or you can, you know, hear from somebody else something that's going on, or, you know, hubba. But I don't like to listen to that anymore because I don't want to be making judgment on other people. I don't want to be in that place where, you know, I'm saying, oh yeah, did you hear what so-and-so did? You know, I don't want to go there. But the minute she starts telling me stuff, it's sometimes I find myself being sucked into that vortex and I start jumping into it and I think, don't go there. But we do that, you know, we don't stay on that clear path. I know that I don't want to be in judgment. I know that I want clarity on my spiritual direction. And I don't want to cloud it up with anything negative. And if I stay in that place of being connected to my one source, to this centered on God, then I know I'm not going to go there. And that's where I want to live from. And when I now what I've been doing when I talk to her is, and she starts to go down the path, I just redirect to something else. I'll ask her what's going on in her life on something else, and just redirect the conversation. And it's been so helpful and so freeing. And I don't take on any comments that she makes. You know, because she can make some negative comments sometimes, and I have to just kind of like wash it away from me, you know, and just, you know, because you can get caught up in that. And again, then that clouds our own judgment. That clouds our own spiritual direction, and we don't want to be there, you know. The thing is that once you start knowing what you believe, you will not allow yourself to go there. And that's the thing that has been the strongest for me, is defining what I know to be true, what I believe, what my credo is. Where am I coming from so that I know I don't want to be in that other place? And I don't know how many of us do that or not, but that brings you clarity when you do that. To me, it's kind of like the windshield, you know. We've been on the highway a lot lately, driving down this highway, the bugs, you know. And you're driving along and I'm like, do you think we could clean the windshield the next time we stop? Oh, I can still see. But the minute we stop and get gas and he's cleaning the windshield, I'm thinking, oh my God, there's nothing like that clean glass to see through, is there? I mean, that's kind of how we do our life. You know, the bugs start hitting us and we think everything's fine till we clear it all away and then we go, oh, that feels so much better. That's a clearer view. That's more clarity on what I want to live or how I want to live. So it's just like that windshield. But clarity means clearness or rationality as to perception or understanding. Freedom from uncertainty. That's a huge one. Don't you want freedom from uncertainty? Don't you like it when you know that you know? And you know where you find that at? Within. Once you align with God and you know that God is in the midst of every situation and the highest good's coming forth, that's all you have to keep remembering. That brings you away from uncertainty. It gives you that freedom. The state or quality of being clear or transparent to the eye. Now that's a hard one for a lot of people. A lot of people don't want to be transparent. Somebody might find out who I really am or what I really believe. They might think I belong to a cult. It's true. But you know, on the human level, we can read these words and we can find clarity in them. But on a spiritual level, that's a whole different thing. We have to have clearness in our spiritual understanding, because that is how we are going to know what we truly believe and what our credo really is. Credo means, what do you believe? And if you can define for yourself what you believe, I mean, like Bill was talking about those little handouts, which is great because, you know, we live in this world of unity where our consciousness is lifted up. We understand all the terms. We understand where we want to be. We understand who we are as a spiritual being. But to go out and tell somebody else about it, that's a whole other thing, isn't it, sometimes? You know? I mean, even the logo of Positive Path for Spiritual Living, it's hard for people to remember. And that's supposed to be the elevator tagline for unity, that they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars branding and coming up with that line. And people still don't remember it. So you have to come up with something for yourself that's going to let you be able to describe what it is that you do. But one of the things that happens is to ask yourself, what do you believe? And if somebody asks you that question, what will your answer be? What will your answer be? Most people say, oh, I believe in God. But what if they throw at you, do you believe in Jesus as your Lord and Savior? You know, that kind of takes us back sometimes. But you can also just say yes. Not for the fact that Jesus, the man, is your Savior, like they're thinking, but the Christ within is in everybody, and that's our turning point. So again, it's what you perceive in your head. It's kind of like me talking to my friend who starts being in judgment of other people, and I just wash it away, and I still behold the Christ in her. It's the same thing. But one of your wishes could be that you define what you know to be true, what you really believe in. And you don't have to even say yes to somebody saying that. I usually don't. Warren does because he knows how to turn it all around, but I don't like to get in the argument. But what you perceive clearly will be brought out through your actions and will be defined by what you believe it or not. It's an easy process, and when that happens, then you become transparent. The benefit to knowing and being able to clearly define what you spiritually believe is the freedom that you will have from uncertainty. And you will be able to live transparently through your life because you'll be living from the oneness of God, living through the Spirit of God, moving in and through you, and that relationship that you have with God. And who doesn't want that? I mean, don't you want a great relationship with whatever you call God, the universe, the ultimate being, life, love, whatever? Yes, we all do. But it's okay to explore other belief systems and stuff, and to see if any of that resonates with you. But most importantly, what we must do is go to the depths of our own soul and find out what we truly believe. And if a truth comes forth for you, write it down in that space on that chart, because that could be something important. I'll tell you one thing though, write it down in pencil, because you might be changing your mind later. If it's truth, it will stay. If it's something that you believe at that moment that might not be truth, you'll be able to change it. But truth is truth, and truth will always be there. You see, our souls long for that clarity, that to know what we know to be true. And the only person that can define that for us is ourselves. But when we seek guidance with like-minded people, by coming to church on Sunday or being in class, you know, last week we had that great discussion group after service. And wasn't that powerful? A couple new people that were here, the other people that were here. That was really powerful, and we felt really good about it too. And, you know, LaDonna, or Lesage, I don't know which one you want to go by. Lesage said to me, when I talked to her this week, she said, it was so great that you guys were in there and you were just so honest and transparent. And I thought to myself, you know, I said, thank you. But I thought to myself, well, yeah, that's what we do here. You know, that's what we're living by. That's what we know to be true. That's who we are, and we bring that forth. And it's coming through our actions. And I guess you've not had that experience always with ministers or pastors or whatever. So you felt honored or blessed, and I thought that was powerful. And the thing is that that's what it's about, being able to come forth with what you know to be true. And the transparency is there. You don't have to hide anything. Even if you don't agree with somebody, you don't have to hide it. But it's kind of like when we come here, when we are in class together, when we are doing Sunday service, when we're taking a class together, when we're doing that little workshop or whatever after church, you know, it's like plugging into the battery of the energy of life. You like my little graphic there? When we can concentrate our thoughts and energy on the I am, which is the Christ, or the energy of God within us, and know that we are one with this energy, we will lift our consciousness to a greater vibration and experience more of heaven on earth. And that's something else you have to define. What is your heaven on earth? What does that look like for you? And you can fill in the spots of what heaven on earth might look like for you, but we can experience right here, right now, each and every day. Charles Fillmore wrote this next quote about 100 years ago, and this is one of those things that truth is truth. And I think it's very pertinent to what we're talking about and pertinent to today's terms. And it says, the true light, the Christ-filled word, that lights every man or woman coming into the world is and ever has been in every human being. Even the outer man was formed and came into existence through it. Up to a certain stage in his unfolding, man does not recognize this truth. Now, however, this mystery, which is the Christ in you, the hope of glory, is being revealed to the human race with more and more clarity and with greatly increased power. That's the power we want to tap into. That's the power we want to know from the depths of our soul, is what does the Christ within look like for us? How can we express it each and every day? What are tools we can use to go out and live from this and not get caught up in somebody else's drama or somebody else's judgment or living anything but what we want to hold to be true? We're teaching that background and new thought class. We started teaching it last week, and it reminded me of how far we've really come in this short amount of time in New Thought. You know, it was the 1800s, and Americans were going through some major changes. There were 13 colonies expanding beyond out into the west and even as far as the Philippines. And cities were springing up and growing, and they were building churches all over the place, and they were building schools and colleges. And all of this new ideas and new thoughts were coming through the people that were uncomfortable with the way their religious background had been taught. That embedded theology was breaking free from that dogma, and we were starting to have new thoughts and new energy coming forth. And Charles Braden, the author of the text that we're using, calls it a genuine American faith. That's what he says about New Thought. And of course, I put the Unity Wings up there. But I love that term, don't you? A genuine American faith. So when somebody asks you what New Thought is, you can say it's a genuine American faith. It is something that was created here in the United States by people who were seeing a shift in consciousness and were bringing forth more truth. You know, and it's powerful. They weren't allowing all that embedded theology or any of that dogma to bring them down. They just went with what they knew and created a new spiritual direction, a new spiritual understanding based on the healing through the teachings of Jesus Christ and the idea that the ultimate power of the universe is God and that we are connected by our true nature. That was powerful. And that is something that we teach here every week, and that we move forth with that. P.P. Quimby, Phineas Parkhurst Quimby, was the one who started this revolution, believe it or not, and he did it through the ability to heal people. And just like we have said here at Unity East of Atlanta, we have had some powerful healings. The prayer shawls themselves brought powerful healings, but just holding each other in prayer and consciousness. Our wellness call people, our chaplains, Reverend Warner and I, Janelle comes in every week to pray with us over the prayer requests. we have, and all of us lifting each other up in consciousness, we have had some miraculous healings. And we are still moving forth with the same energy that P.P. Quimby did, 100 years ago. But I think it's fabulous and wonderful that this has happened. And we change that way of thinking and living. And for some of you, you might feel like you are exactly like P.P. Quimby, because you might just be on that brink of your own life, changing your thinking, changing some of that embedded theology. I know probably every week you come in here, there's probably a question in your mind that you switch your thinking from what you used to believe to what the truth is, in your heart and soul. And it's it's that freeing experience, that opening up that you get that allows you to believe what you want to believe. And that is powerful. We don't want to just go along with the crowd, do we? We don't want to just be in a place where we say, oh yes, you're saying that that's what I'm supposed to do, so I'm going to do it. No. We want to break free of that and just go with what we know to be truth. And you know it. You feel it, and you resonate with it when it's right. And that's where we're at. That's where we want to be. And all that comes from searching within yourself and aligning with that one source, with God. And that is a beautiful thing. It brings forth the clarity that we need for ourselves to move forward. By defining truth in our lives, our wishes are no longer something out there, hoping to be revealed, but they will become a satisfaction in our mind, body, and soul. That is how Spirit moves in and through us and as us in conviction with what we hold to be true. If we know the highest good is always coming forth, and believe me, I struggle with it sometimes too. I said that when you said that about baby Aiden. Letting go, releasing, knowing the highest good is coming forth, and I don't have to fix everything right now. Holding that in my heart and my mind that the highest good is there. I have to keep reminding myself sometimes on a daily basis. The highest good is coming forth. Not daily, moment by moment sometimes, And when I align with that truth that I know, it's like, I really let go and relax. And that's where we need to go. Let's see what we got. Oops, one more. When my thoughts radiate, this is from Fillmore again. When my thoughts radiate with the speed of spiritual light, that's what I'm talking about. When you realign with the truth that you know. They blend with creative mind called by Jesus, heaven. So that's that heaven on earth. We're bringing that forth. And that which I asked for is done. So all those wishes, all those desires that are in your heart are already done. All we have to do is know that we have to know, period, end. We have to know that they are done, that they're coming forth for the highest good for everybody around us. Whatever that looks like. We know that. Everything that has ever happened to us in our lives up to now, we can all call it good. There was something good that came from everything, no matter if even the incident was horrific at the moment. Something good has come forth. Jesus said, he that believeth on me, the works that I do, shall he do also. And that's where we're at. You have to go to that place of knowing that you can do greater works than what Jesus was doing in his day. That's however many years ago. We can do that. We can bring it forth. As I go on in the exercise of spiritual faculties, which is the 12 powers, I shall strengthen them and understand them better, and I shall cease to talk about anything as miraculous. Because what happens is, when we know something to be true, when we see something to be true, we don't have to call it a miracle anymore. Even though we love to call it a miracle, and I still call it a miracle, because, Yeah, I do. I like to call it a miracle because I like to believe that, the miracle happens within us, in our change of thinking, and that's where the miracle is. We see it beyond that. That's how Quimby started his spiritual revolution, which evolved into Fillmore's creating unity. He strengthened his spiritual faculties and performed what we call miracles. He saw each person through the lens of truth and claim their wholeness and health and their oneness with God. We do this every week when we pray over the prayer slips here and when we pray for them over on Wednesday here. He saw each person as a spiritual being and knew what he held as truth to be the power and the ultimate source, God. So can you see each person as a spiritual being? that might be something you write on your list, to be able to see each and every person, no matter who they are, as a spiritual being. That changes your whole life right there. I'm telling you that much. And this was not wishful thinking on his part, but it was clarity in what he knew to be true. So that's why it's important for us to search for that clarity. November is a month of giving thanks, and I believe that gratitude can activate all that we need to do. And I want you to use this chart to write down what we know to be true, what you believe. Things we are grateful for. Use it to write down things that you're grateful for, because you're activating that power within you that allows you to open up to all the good that is around you. And any desire you wish to manifest in your life, you can write it down on that chart and then let go of it and release it into the universe, because it will make a difference in your life. You will see things come forth. You might open up that paper 2 years from now, and all of a sudden, because I stick all that stuff in a journal, or I stick it in my nightstand, and then I open it up later and I go, whoa, that's really powerful, or that really did. And that's knowing what you want. But it can help us define and know what we believe to be true and bring us that clarity. We can turn within to that ultimate source of God, and we can make an unlimited amount of wishes, knowing that what we ask for in prayer will come forth as the highest good for all. Thank you for being here today. God bless you all.